Hello. So picture this. It is your first day of middle school and you are so excited because you just cannot wait because you have the cutest outfit plan and it's been sitting on this lovely bed for the past 2 weeks and you just cannot wait to impress your friends and especially your crush too, and you cannot wait to see your favorite teachers as well. So you walk into school and the first person that you see, it's not your teachers, it's not your friends, and it's not your crush, but it's your principal. He basically informs you that you have to either find a parent or guardian to call, or you have to go and sit in school suspension because you have been dress coded. There is an issue with the clothes that you're wearing regarding your skirt being too short from the required length, 2 inches specifically. And your shirt is an off-the-shoulder shirt, which is it's emphasizing your collarbone too much, basically. So you're a little upset and you're kind of questioning, like, oh, why is this really necessary? It's just it's my bones, you know? So dress code is something that I'm going to be talking about today, and it's kind of a very controversial topic a little bit regarding the deeper meanings behind it, such as sexism, racism, discrimination. I'm going to be kind of getting into like a little bit of the deep stuff with that. So we're going to talk about first how it can be very sexist and demoralizing to women, especially young women or young children. And then I'm going to jump into a little bit of some of the more absurd cases that are focusing more on racism and discrimination, and then lastly kind of wrapping things up, talking about how we can kind of take action and how people have been getting a little angry about it and how people are finally starting to step up. There's more reports on it and everything. So let's jump into it. So we're going to start with basically dress codes and kind of what they are and how they can be very sexist and very targeted towards women more than men. So a dress code, as many of you probably know, is basically just a list or a code of conduct of rules of what can and cannot be worn to school. So lots of schools have dress codes, the majority of them probably do, but they can range from being not as strict to extremely strict. And what I found is that a lot of dress codes are targeted mainly towards women or young children, young girls, such as regard to cleavage and chest and butts and legs and arms and ankles and hair and makeup and things like that. Not that men can't wear that, but it's targeted more towards the feminine side. So that is kind of bringing up the point of sexism and how it's kind of, talking about that. So I think that to say that a young girl has to be a certain way, that she can't dress a certain way, that she has to fit in this book of ideas of how she has to dress and how she can't dress. It can be very demoralizing to young children, and it can, lead to developing self-esteem issues and possibly even like eating disorders or mental issues and things like that. So I just think that can be very hard to deal with as a young child. So moving on a little bit from that, I'm going to talk about some of the more serious cases like racism and discrimination in dress codes. So a dress code in Florida, I'm not sure of the exact name, but there was a high school in Florida that had a dress code to where you could only have natural hair color, and along with that, you could not have dreadlocks. So this is something that I was kind of very upset about, because to say that you cannot wear, obviously, your hair a certain way, even if it is the natural way for you, because of your skin color, and that's just how your hair is very wrong, and it is racist, and it's very discriminatory. And I just was kind of sitting there reading it, questioning, like, why? Like, what was going through their head when they were doing this? So that was very upsetting, but that is just one out of the many cases where we have witnessed racism. And then what I had talked about previously, sexism throughout dress codes. So lastly, we're just going to talk about, kind of wrap things up of like what has been done to kind of fight back against it. So we've seen recently a lot of news reports on dress codes and kind of the absurdity of them, and a lot of complaints from parents or guardians or just students in general. And I think that things like this can really bring awareness to it and kind of like get more people to kind of, you know, act in this kind of, I don't want to say movement, but that's a little bit of a dramatic word, but you know, I guess you could say movement. But I think it's very important to just note that I personally don't find it okay to have a book of rules of what can and cannot be worn. And I think it is a good idea to, you know, kind of act against it and kind of rebel a little bit in this sense. So thank you guys. That is my speech, and I cannot wait to see all of yours as well.